There is a sound that no one who has ever kept a pantry forgets, and it is the sound of small feet in the dark, that faint scratching in the wall at night, the rustle behind the flour bin, the little dark pellets you find one morning on the shelf, and the sick feeling that comes with knowing that something has been into your food. Mice. They have plagued every household that ever stored grain since the beginning of time, and in a home like mine, where a whole winter's food is kept in the pantry and the cellar, a mouse is no small nuisance. A family of mice left to themselves can foul and ruin far more food than they ever eat. For a mouse that runs across a sack of flour and leaves its droppings behind has spoiled the whole sack, whether it ate an ounce of it or not. And so my people have always known how to keep the mice out, and I mean truly out, not by poison and not by luck, but by understanding the mouse and denying it the three things it comes for. Today I am going to teach you the old way of a mouse-free pantry, and I promise you it works, for we have kept our stores safe by it for longer than anyone can remember. Let me be honest with you at the very start, as is my custom, because there is a great deal of nonsense sold to people about mice, and I will not add to it. There is no single magic thing, no one trick that will keep a mouse out forever while you do nothing else. The mouse is a clever and determined little creature driven by hunger and cold, and it has been outwitting men for thousands of years. But here is the good news, and it is very good news indeed. A mouse comes into your home for three reasons, and three reasons only. It comes for food, it comes for warmth and shelter, and it comes because it found a way in. Take away those three things, close those three doors, and the mouse has no reason to be there and no way to get there, and your pantry stays clean. That is the whole of it. Not a trick, but an understanding. And once you have the understanding, the mouse loses its power over you. So let me take those three doors, one at a time, and show you how to close each one. The first and most important door to close is the door of the food itself. For above all things, the mouse comes to eat, and a pantry full of food it can reach is an open invitation it cannot resist. Now here is where nearly everyone goes wrong. Folks keep their flour in a paper sack, their grain in a cardboard box, their crackers in their thin store packages, their cornmeal in a bag with the top rolled down, and they think it is put away. But a mouse can gnaw through paper as though it were not there, and through cardboard and through thin plastic in mere minutes, for its teeth never stop growing, and it must gnaw constantly to wear them down. Those packages are no barrier at all. The old way, the way that truly works, is to keep every bit of stored food that a mouse might want in a container the mouse cannot chew through, which means metal or glass, with a tight-fitting lid. In our pantries, the flour and the sugar and the meal and the grain and the beans all live in stout containers, old crocks, glass jars, metal tins and cans with lids that seat down firm. A mouse can gnaw all night on a glass jar or a metal tin and get nowhere, and it will soon give up and go elsewhere. This one change alone, moving all your dry goods out of their paper and cardboard and into metal and glass, will do more to end your mouse trouble than anything else you can do, because it strikes at the very thing the mouse came for. If there is nothing it can reach to eat, the pantry loses all its charm for a mouse. And along with sealing the food goes the plain matter of cleanliness, for the mouse lives on crumbs and spills as much as on your stores. A pantry floor with flour dusted across it, a shelf with spilled oats in the corner, crumbs behind the bins, a bit of dried fruit, dropped and forgotten. All of these feed a mouse and keep it coming. So sweep your pantry and sweep it often, into the corners and under the shelves. Wipe up every spill at once. Do not let crumbs gather. Keep the floor and the shelves clean and bare of any loose food. A clean pantry with everything sealed away in metal and glass offers a mouse nothing. Not a crumb, not a grain, and a mouse offered nothing does not stay. Half the battle against the mouse is simply denying it its dinner, and a broom and a wiping cloth are as much your weapons here as anything. The second door to close is the door of entry, the actual holes and gaps through which the mouse comes into your home, and this takes a bit of hunting, but it is well worth the trouble. A mouse, I must tell you, can squeeze itself through a gap no wider than the width of a pencil, for its little body is soft and its skull is the only hard part, and if its head fits, the rest of it follows. So the gaps you must find and close are far smaller than you would think. Go around your pantry and your kitchen and the lower parts of your walls and look for every crack, every hole, every gap. Look where the pipes come through the wall under the sink, for there is often a gap around them. Look at the corners and the baseboards. Look where the wall meets the floor. Look at any place a wire or a pipe enters. Look for the little holes that mice have already made or found, and then close them. The old and reliable way to close a hole against a mouse is to stuff it tight with steel wool, that coarse metal wool packed in firmly, for the mouse cannot chew through the sharp metal fibers and will not try for long. Then you can seal over it to hold it in place. Larger gaps want a piece of metal, a bit of sheet tin or hardware cloth, that fine metal screen fixed over them, for again the mouse cannot gnaw through metal. Close every gap you can find, high and low, and you cut off the mouse's very road into your pantry. This is patient work, and you may not find every hole the first time, but every hole you close is one more door shut against them. The third door is the door of shelter and clutter, for a mouse wants not only food and a way in, but a quiet, hidden, undisturbed place to nest. And a cluttered pantry gives it just that. A pile of old paper bags in the corner, a heap of rarely moved boxes, a jumble of things stacked and forgotten. These are palaces to a mouse, snug and dark and safe. So keep your pantry orderly and open. Do not let piles of paper and cardboard and rag gather, for these are both nesting material and hiding place. Keep things up off the floor on shelves where you can see beneath them. Move things about now and again so that no dark, undisturbed corner remains for weeks on end. A mouse loves to be left alone in the dark, and a pantry that is kept open and orderly and regularly disturbed by a person putting things right is a pantry where a mouse never feels safe enough to settle. Clutter is the mouse's friend, and order is its enemy. Now, the Amish have always had another ally against the mouse, and it is the oldest ally of all, older than any trap or trick, and that is the cat. A good barn cat or house cat is worth more against mice than all the gadgets ever made, for the mere smell of a cat about the place tells every mouse that this is dangerous ground. And a cat that actually hunts will keep a home and a barn clear of mice as nothing else can. We have always kept cats, good working cats, and they earn their keep many times over. If your circumstances allow a cat, you will find it the finest mouser you could ask for, and better company than a mousetrap besides. The cat is the old and natural answer, and it has kept grain safe for farmers since the days of the ancient world. I know that many folks ask about the peppermint, for they have heard that mice hate the smell of peppermint oil and that a few drops on a cotton ball will drive them off. I will be honest with you about this, more honest than some who sell the oil. There is a little truth in it. Mice do dislike strong smells, and a strong scent of peppermint may make a spot less pleasant to them for a time. But I would not have you trust your pantry to peppermint alone, for it is a weak thing next to a hungry mouse, and the smell fades quickly, and a mouse that truly wants the food behind that cotton ball will hold its nose and go right past it. Use the peppermint if you like, as one small thing among many, but do not lean on it, and do not believe it will do the work that sealing your food and closing your holes must do. The strong scents are a whisper to the mouse. The sealed tin and the closed hole are a locked door. Trust the locked door. When mice have already gotten in and you must reduce their number, the old plain snap trap is the honest tool, baited with a bit of peanut butter or a seed, set along the wall where the mice run, for mice travel close to the walls and not out in the open. The snap trap does its work quickly, and cleanly. And here I must give you an honest and firm caution about the poisons, for many folks reach for the poison bait first, and I would counsel you against it, especially in a home with children or pets, or where food is kept. The poisons are dangerous things to have about, a peril to a curious child or a dog or a cat that finds the bait, and a poisoned mouse often crawls off to die inside a wall, where it will trouble you with its smell for weeks. And worse, a cat or an owl that catches a poisoned mouse can itself be poisoned by it. So in the pantry, near food and family, I hold to the trap and the cat and the sealed container over the poison every time. Keep the poison out of the pantry. And let me give you one more caution, this one about your own health, for it is important and often forgotten. When you find mouse droppings, and when you clean up after mice, do not simply sweep the dry droppings up with a broom or stir them into the air, for mouse droppings and the dust from a mouse nest can carry sickness, and breathing in that dust is how a person can be made ill by it. The safe way is to first dampen the droppings and the mess with a little soapy water or a mild disinfectant. Let it sit a few minutes and then wipe it up with a damp cloth or paper so that nothing dries and rises into the air for you to breathe. Wear gloves if you have them, and wash your hands well afterward, and wash any surface the mice touched before you put food on it again. Air out the space. This is not cause for great alarm, for such sickness is uncommon, but it is a simple care that costs you nothing and keeps you safe, and I would not fail to tell you of it. Now I have spoken chiefly of the pantry, but I must say a word about the cellar and the storeroom, for that is where a farm family keeps the great bulk of its winter food, and the mouse knows it well. In the cellar you have your barrels and your bins, your stored apples and potatoes and squash, your crocks of this and that, and all of it is a feast to a mouse if it can reach it. The same 3 doors apply here as in the pantry, only more so. Keep the grain and the meal in the cellar in metal bins with lids that a mouse cannot lift or gnaw, never in open sacks set on the floor. Keep your stored root crops and apples up off the ground where you can, on shelves or in raised bins, both for the sake of the air around them and to make the mouse work harder to reach them. Watch the places where the cellar wall meets the earth or the foundation, for these old walls often have gaps a mouse can use, and close them as best you can. And keep the cellar, like the pantry, orderly and swept, with no piles of old sacking and rag and paper for the mouse to nest in. A cluttered cellar full of open food is a mouse paradise. An orderly cellar with everything sealed and raised is a fortress. Let me urge you, too, to act at the very first sign, for a mouse trouble is far easier to end when it is one mouse than when it has become 20. Mice breed with astonishing speed, a single pair becoming a whole tribe in a season if left alone. And so the person who says to himself, "It is only one little mouse, I will deal with it later," often finds himself later dealing with a real infestation that a little action early would have prevented entirely. Learn the signs and heed them at once. The droppings, small and dark, are the surest sign. A faint musky smell in an enclosed space. The gnaw marks on a box or a bag or the edge of a shelf. Little greasy smudges along the baseboards where the mice run and their oily fur rubs the wall. The scratching in the walls at night. And the surest sign of all, a package of food found chewed into. When you see the first of these, do not wait. Set your traps, hunt your holes, seal your food that very day. The mouse you catch this week is the 20 you did not have to catch next month. In this, as in so much, a small trouble met promptly is a great trouble prevented. I recall a hard lesson from my own younger days that taught me the worth of all this better than any telling could. I had charge one winter of a small store of seed grain set by for the spring planting, and I kept it foolishly in its sacks in a corner of an outbuilding, thinking it safe enough for a few months. I did not seal it in metal, I did not close the gaps in that old building's walls, and I did not trouble to check on it often. When spring came and I went to fetch that seed for the planting, I found the sacks chewed open, the grain fouled and scattered, and half of it carried off, and a nest of mice grown fat in the midst of it. That was seed I could not easily replace, and its loss cost my family dearly that year, and all because I had left open every one of the 3 doors I have just taught you to close. I never made that mistake again. From that day, I have kept every grain in metal, closed every gap I could find, kept my stores orderly, and watched over, and I have not lost so much as a cupful to a mouse since. I tell you this not to shame myself, but so that you may learn the lesson at my expense rather than your own. The old ways are written in such hard lessons, learned by our grandparents, and passed down precisely so that we need not learn them all again the hard way. And do not forget the food sources that are not your own dinner, for these trip up many a careful person. The bag of feed for the chickens or the livestock, the sack of bird seed, the dog's or the cat's food left out in its bag. These draw mice as surely as your own flour does, and they are too often left in easy paper sacks in a shed or a mudroom while the pantry itself is kept tight. Seal these too in metal cans with lids, and do not leave the pet's food out overnight in an open dish, for that dish is a nightly banquet for a mouse. I will also say a word about the little electric gadgets sold nowadays that claim to drive mice away with a sound too high for us to hear. I have no great faith in them, and neither do most who have tried them honestly, for the mice seem to grow used to the sound and pay it no mind after a few days, and I would not have you spend your money on such a thing and then neglect the sealing and the closing of holes that actually works. Save your coin and put your trust in the tin, the trap, the cat, and the closed gap. Let me gather the whole of it together for you now. A mouse comes for 3 things: food, shelter, and a way in, and you defeat it by closing all 3 doors. First, seal every bit of stored food in metal or glass with a tight lid, for paper and cardboard are no barrier at all, and keep your pantry swept clean of every crumb and spill. Second, hunt out every gap and hole, even ones as small as a pencil, and stuff them tight with steel wool and cover them with metal, closing the mouse's road inside. Third, keep your pantry orderly and open and free of clutter, denying the mouse any snug hidden place to nest. Keep a good cat if you can, for it is the oldest and finest mouser of all. Use the peppermint if you wish, but trust it only a little, and trust your sealed tins and closed holes a great deal. Set snap traps along the walls to reduce any mice already in, and keep the poisons out of the pantry away from children and pets. And when you clean up after mice, dampen the mess first, and never sweep it dry, and wash your hands well. Do all this, and your pantry will be as ours are, clean and quiet and free of those small feet in the dark, your winter's food safe and sound as it was meant to be. There is, as always, something a little larger here than mice. The old way of dealing with a mouse is really the old way of dealing with most troubles, which is to understand the thing plainly, to find its true causes, and to remove those causes patiently one by one, rather than to reach for some quick and violent remedy that treats only the symptom. The poison is the modern way, quick and harsh and careless of what else it harms. The sealed tin and the closed hole and the good cat are the old way, patient and clean and lasting, striking at the root of the matter. And I have found across a long life that this old way of thinking, this patient going to the root of a trouble, serves a person well in far more than the keeping of a pantry. So learn it here with the humble mouse, and you may find the lesson serves you elsewhere too. If this is the kind of good old useful wisdom you have been hungry for, the kind that makes you a little more capable and a little more self-reliant and connects you back to the good sense of those who came before us, then stay here with me. There is a great deal more where this came from, and I aim to bring it back to you, one piece at a time. Subscribe, and we will keep remembering the old ways together, because some of the most precious things we ever knew are the simple ones we let ourselves forget. And the keeping of a clean and quiet and mouse-free pantry is surely one of them.